Well, two traffic stops along Highway 77 resulted in seizing more than $110,000 in cash. And investigators believe that cash is tied to drugs. Our Marissa Cummings joins us in the studio with the details. Marissa.
When the vehicles were stopped, no drugs were found in either one. But when the K-9 unit searched the cars, it sniffed traces of narcotics, which led them to bundles of money. The first stop was made January 9th by the Robstown Police Department on 77 southbound. They pulled over a car with two men inside. Police say the vehicle smelled of marijuana, so they searched it and found 4 bundles of cash equaling about $33,000. And one of the occupants was a gang member. The second stop happened a week later near Driscoll, where the district attorney's task force stopped a vehicle along Highway 77. That stop resulted in seizing $84,000. And investigators say that same vehicle has been tied to drug money trafficking before.
Few different owners making the same type of trip. So, through that, all we can do is try to piece those pieces together and try to build our case to see how long this has been going on for this one organization.
During all the stops, the individuals involved were arrested and charged with money laundering. Officials say the strict patrolling of Highway 77 through Nueces County was made possible by the DA's drug task force. Since the task force began in April, they have seized over $425,000. Mackenzie.
Wow. Thank you, Marissa.